The women in Iran are out there burning their hijabs in front of the IRGC. People are being mowed down by bullets and they're still fighting. They're still screaming. You know,
Mm,
they're up against beheadings, imprisonments, being shot in the head, and they're still fighting. Whereas here in the West, what are we up against? Mean
bad
words,
words. Bad
losing
word. Yeah,
followers.
we don't want them to be, they don't want to be called bad words. I mean, that to be bigoted is the worst evil in their mind. It's the worst, most heinous thing that you could say about them is that they're racist or
But
that
they
they're
can,
bigoted.
if they used their cognitive abilities, they could fight back against that criticism and talk about we are speaking for the women. Women in Muslim majority countries are the first victims of Islam, right? So when we're talking about Muslim women, how is that Islamophobic? How is that bigoted when we're trying to defend
Well,
feminists in all of these
okay.
countries?
Okay. Well, this is part of the problem that we face when I invite apologists, or not even apologists, people who claim that there is no problem onto the show, they don't come on. There really is something that ties this ideology together, and well, there are many things, but they won't have a conversation with you. You know, I'm going to go to Genspect in Portugal. Reed and I are going to go there, and WPATH, which is the trans activist, broadly speaking,
Hmm.
group, is there, and I invited them to come on stage to have a conversation with me, and there's nothing. Yeah, there's nothing. I mean, they won't come on the show. I mean, of course, Martina Navratilova won't come on because that would mean that, ooh, someone could call her a bad word. And I actually respect her tennis tremendously, but this is not about tennis.
No, and I wish it was just that. Like, it's not even that they just stay quiet because they're afraid of the criticism or they're afraid of the smearing, but they actively empower these people. That's the other side of this coin. Is
Yeah.
feminists are behind things like a hijab on Barbie, or seeing the hijab on the cover of Sports Illustrated, or seeing the hijab literally on every flat surface, watching Inside Out with my kid, and there's like hijabi animated characters. Like, it's just this constant normalization of something that gets women killed, a tool of misogyny. How are you, as a feminist, supporting a tool of misogyny that gets girls killed and imprisoned and attacked with acid all over the world? How do you do that? How do you do that? Right?
Yeah. How do you
So,
do that explicitly, especially when they claim to be feminists and activists for women's rights?
yeah.
And that's the
I mean, I
thing.
have like
Again,
two chapters talking about them in my book.
yeah, again, they won't come on and have conversation. So I don't know. It's like you and me are agreeing on this and there's no pushback because they won't
I
come
think
on.
they're
Again,
embarrassed, Peter. Honest to God, I think they're embarrassed. They are ashamed of
they should be
themselves.
ashamed. They should be
And,
ashamed.
and I saw that in quite a few posts and people responding to you, where they would screenshot your tweet and then write about it. So maybe you hadn't seen them, but people were saying things like, you know, I know we're not doing as much as we can for women in Muslim majority countries. I know, you know, I personally feel like I could do more, da da da. So they're like, they're kind of doing this mea culpa, but like, what are you going to do about it though?
Mm.
What
Yeah,
are
it's
you going
very,
to do about it?
yeah, it's, one of the things you see is uh, absolutely unrelated to feminism or any of these issues. It's people will freak out about, for example, environmental issues, and they'll sit in front of their screen and they'll scream all day, but they won't go to the river and pick up trash. They won't literally leave their house and, that's what my dad used to do. He was his big thing was preservation of the wetlands. It's another story, but they'll just sit behind their computer and they won't they like to complain. I
Mhm.
don't know. I just the level I would just feel much better if they said, you know what, one of two things. You're right. We don't do this. We should be speaking out, but frankly, we don't want to get our head sawed off with a butter knife, so we won't do it. If you
And we
want to
don't
call
care
us,
enough to
yeah,
take
if
on
you
this
want to
fight.
call us cowards, that's fine. Like if they did that, or if they said, you know what, I just don't care about these women. Okay, well then
Yeah.
you're having an honest conversation with someone. Okay, well
Yeah.
it's good. You don't. Then you can have the conversation. Well, should you?
And that's fine too. You don't have to care about us. You don't have to
No.
support us. But can you not
Yeah.
support our oppressors? That's all I ask. Like,
Yeah.
and through using the words Islamophobia, you are supporting our oppressors, because our oppressors are the ones who created those terms to silence criticism against the things, the progress that we're fighting for. Right. And so when they use that, that's bottom up blasphemy laws, right? Like they're doing the work.
Oh, they love that. Yeah, no, no, they love political correctness. They love silencing people they disagree with. I mean, this is their modus operandi. This is how these folks operate in the world. But the level of dishonesty here, it's really it's just shocking. And I think you've said it, and Sarah Hayter said it. The idea that you empower those people, they're empowering the regime in Iran. Is there anything we can do about these? Is there anything, or should we just be like, you know what? And it's not even when I say we can do, it's not like I don't mean to nudge these people to, I don't care what they do with themselves. I have literally no confidence. I think that they're mentally damaged. Um, I think that they're wholly dishonest. I think that I have a very good buddy of mine. And he said that it could be, we don't know because they won't have conversations with us, but it could be that you're looking at it the wrong way. Like you're looking at it from a global perspective, but they only understand what's in their backyard. Like they have no global
Yeah.
consciousness. So he said that's the most charitable interpretation you can give of
Yeah, but
this
all this is
problem.
happening in their backyard too. So that's really short sighted. I mean, we're speaking to each other today on 9/11, right?
You're correct. That's
And
one of the
then,
reasons we
and
chose this.
yeah, and you've got what happened on October 7th in Israel, which is still, a very current event. The hostages are still not home, right?
Correct.
Still something that we're
Correct.
dealing with. So, and then of course you've got issues in London, in France, and Sweden, you name it, right? Obviously, any country you can think of, there's been Islamic terrorism there. So for them to have that kind of short-sightedness is
Yeah.
inexcusable. But
Yeah.
that's literally the subtitle of my book, right? How the West empowers radical Muslims. So that's really what I'm talking about. Is I completely agree with you. They entirely empower them. I don't know what to do to stop them other than to let them know what they're doing. I mean, it's so obvious now. Like people used to ask me
Yeah.
before,
Well,
can you,
yeah.
give us an example of the subtitle of your book? Now I'm like, look at Columbia University. It's
Well,
so
yeah.
obvious.
Well, I have another solution that I make not tongue in cheek. I know people are going to think it's tongue in cheek, but it's not. At some point, there's a critical mass of Muslim immigrants, and I really wish I could find it. I've been looking for this for a while, but someone made a one of those animated gifs of
Yeah.
the when the Muslims come in, the Jews flee. And just to be clear, I do believe that there are a lot of uh, uh, there are an awful lot of good, decent, law-abiding Muslims. These are reasonable people. They adopt the laws of the host country. They're not a fifth column. They don't want to chop anybody's head off. They're reasonable people just looking for a better life. With that being said, there is a non-trivial minority of people that we have to be deeply, deeply concerned about,
Mhm.
and almost nobody is being honest about that because of the color of their skin or because they
Mhm.
don't want to be seen as bigoted. And the
Yes.
consequence of that is you're empowering the far right.
That too, yes. So they're providing cover. So yeah, we're talking about 2 billion Muslims here. So even when we're talking about a small percentage, we're still talking about millions of people that could be potentially problematic. And what they do is they hide under the other 2 billion. So whenever you say anything about Islam or whenever you say anything about Muslims, then it's like, oh, then they provide this cover, right? And they hide underneath that freedom of religion or bigotry or Islamophobia or whatever. And that's their stealthy way of continuing to do their deceitful work.
Yeah,
Um,
I have read find that I put a tweet out of the clip with the Polish prime minister or someone in Poland, and he's having an interview with Kathy Newman. And I think I tweeted out like what you're really saying is so basically this guy has been making the rounds, and I don't know if you've seen it. Have you seen these clips?
I think
And he's
so.
like He's like, we're not going to take any Muslim immigrants.
Yeah,
And
I did.
Kathy
Yeah.
Newman's trying to push back. He's like, no, we're just
And
not
he's
going to
like,
do it. And
that's why
again,
we don't have terrorism.
yeah, and
Yeah.
again, I just want to be crystal clear, as you have to say in every one of these conversations, that the majority of people are good, decent human beings. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the
Obviously.
people who are hell bent on religious domination. Okay, Reed, play this clip a little bit. This is a really good clip. If you have.
How many refugees has Poland taken?
0.
And you're proud of that?
If you are asking me, if you're asking me about Muslims illegal immigration, none, not even one will come to Poland. Not even one if it's illegal. We took over 2 million Ukrainians who are working, who are peaceful in Poland. We will not receive even one Muslim because this is what we promised.
But I asked
This
not
quota
about
system
illegal
failed.
immigrants. I asked about refugees. And Jean-Claude Juncker, the Commission President, says that you're racist. You sound proud of the fact that you haven't taken any refugees.
Of course, because this is what our people are expecting from our government. That's number one. This is why our government was elected. But this is why Poland is so safe. This is the reason why we had not even one terrorist attack. Look at the streets in Poland, and we can be called populists, nationalists, racists. I don't care. I care about my family and about my country.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about that for a second. So
Yeah.
there are like what, 37 million Poles, 2 million Ukrainians. There are 10 million Hungarians. They took over last time I was there, they took 900,000, but they've taken over 1 million Ukrainians. So this is not a question of we're not taking refugees. That's just not true. That's just demonstrably false. It's that they don't want a certain type of refugee. And again, for the millionth freaking time, I'm not talking about all people who are Muslims. I'm talking about a significant minority to make it a concern for average citizens, safety, terrorism. You know,
Yeah.
when you walk around in London, there are no trash bins in certain areas because people are going to, well, who would throw on the bombs? They're not Sikhs. They're not atheists. There's no like atheist movement bombing the city. Who are the people? Why are there no trash bins?
Yeah, this is, Peter, I think we're at the point right now where we don't have to do all of these little caveats anymore. I think that people can know what we're talking about. In Canada, when our prime minister said that he was going to bring 5,000 people from Gaza, Canadian people were outraged, horrified, terrified. There was a lot of pushback because you are talking about a population of people who from their birth they are being indoctrinated to hate Jews. We see like the
Correct.
plays in schools where there's like little kids dressed up like little soldiers pointing their guns at another little kid who's got a hat on his head with the Star of David, or not a hat, a helmet. So these kids are carrying these big fake guns, right? Like these are the plays. The plays that they do in school are about let's kill Jews, right? They've got stores
Correct.
called Hitler where they tape knives to the hands of the mannequins, right? They've got puppets that teach them all about killing Jews. I've spoken to people who have gone to those UNRWA supported schools, and the curriculum is all about from the river to the sea. This should all be Palestine. Israel shouldn't exist. We have to get rid of all the Jews. Da 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 da. We know
Yeah.
all this.
Yeah.
We've seen October 7th. We're very aware. And then he's like, we're gonna bring 5,000 people from Gaza. Like, what? Like we have the right.
Yeah.
This guy is at least protecting his people. Like, it's okay that he's gonna look racist, he's gonna look mean, he's gonna look whatever. It doesn't, at the end of the day, his family's alive.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. This falls under the umbrella of my nonprofit, National Progress Alliance. Your generous donations keep us going and help fuel content like this. We truly appreciate your support. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next one.